Every country has its version of a Classico. Real Madrid, Barca, Liverpool, Man U, Bayern, Dortmund, Juve, Inter. This is Australia's Sydney FC versus Melbourne Victory. Who is bigger? Who is better? It's an argument that's raged for so long they had to build Canberra. And if you are looking for a little sporting romance on Valentine's Day, then this is probably not the place. Sydney FC and Victory more mundane and green than Romeo and Juliet, fueled by a meeting on this day 5 years ago when the Sky Blues snatched the premiership away from the Navy Blues on the regular season's final day. A month later, they lifted the title itself on Melbourne soil, days still celebrated by Sydney, occasions that still rankle with Melburnians. There'll be no prizes awarded today, save for the Beyond Blue Cup, but Victory can put 10 points between themselves and their rivals. If they can inflict a fourth straight loss for Sydney at this venue, then for the premiership at least, surely it would be game over for Graham Arnold's team. Well, it's turned into a rather damp grey evening in Sydney, but the heavy rain has thankfully passed us by. Let's hope that continues. Temperatures 24 degrees. The pitch has new turf at the Cove end of the ground, laid after last week's One Direction concert. Only One Direction these two are interested in tonight, and that's heading up the table. Last time they met, we were treated to a 6-goal classic. Twice Victory led, twice Sydney pegged them back, and then had the audacity to take the lead before Archie Thompson completed his hat-trick to rescue a point for the Victory. Alex Bross, the Sydney FC captain, one of only two survivors of that 2010 Grand Final winning team for the Sky Blues, along with Seb Ryle, our match referee today, Strebre Delovski, 119th A-League appointment, the 5th time he's taken charge of the Big Blue, and the previous 4 have all ended in draws. Alison Flynn, Anton Shetinen run the line, Stephen Lucas is the 4th official. Mark Yanko, the top goal scorer for Sydney FC this season, but still looking for his first at home. Wonder if it might be today. And in among that huddle is a man in rare form at the moment for the Victory, Costa Barbarouses, wearing number 9, in such fine form. And the goals starting to flow for him as well, 2 in his last 2, along with 6 assists. The only player who can beat that is his teammate, Guy Finkler. So we're all set at Allianz Stadium. The rain has abated. Pitch looks pretty good considering there was that concert here only last week. And we're all set for another instalment of the Big Blue. It's Melbourne Victory who tears off in the all-white strip, the 34th Big Blue, and the big question tonight, I suppose, Andy Harper, is how does the Sydney FC defence, very much remoulded tonight, cope with this very potent Victory attack?
Yeah, Simon, good evening. It is obviously the focal point of all the discussion. It's going to be a very interesting story as it unfolds. But of course, the youngsters and the untried partnerships all have a great opportunity to shine tonight in the face of what many are expecting to be an offensive onslaught from the Victory. In great shape, Kevin Muscat's team in the front half of the field.
Calvo. Dimitrijevic. Neat layoff from Alex Brosk. Further push forward by Calver, and this is Abini, top of the box. Chance here for Christopher Naumoff, and that's a penalty, says Strebre Delovski. The challenge from Jason Guerrier wasn't clean enough, in the opinion of the whistler, and Sydney FC have the chance to take the early advantage from the spot.
And there is no protest at all from Jason Guerrier. Naumoff looking to get the ball onto his left foot. And there's the challenge. Delovski all over it, quite correctly so. No contact with the ball. Clear penalty. And the captain of Austria stands to the mark to give Sydney FC the lead.
Well, they got 2 penalties against Perth last week. They scored them both. Yanko got 1. Can he find the net here? He can! His first home goal for Sydney FC. And it's the Sky Blues who lead early in the Big Blue.
He's speaking as we just were about the central midfield of Melbourne Victory. This is the challenge which resulted in the decision quite correctly. Mark Milligan is resigned to the fact it's an emphatic finish. But the passage through midfield for Sydney FC was too easy for Kevin Muscat's liking, I'm sure. In the end, Guerrier was isolated. He didn't need to make the challenge that he did, but the point of his isolation would be of more concern for Muscat in general terms, I'd say.
Mentioned that ending of the goal drought for Sydney FC, 311 minutes. If you take out the penalties at either end of that equation, Shane Smeltz against Perth and Yanko here today, it's around 550 minutes since Sydney FC scored a home goal from open play against the Mariners back in November. Extraordinary.
Who's the stato now?
Yeah, well, I thought I'd have to outdo you.
And that's not low-hanging fruit. No, it is remarkable for a team on a list such as Sydney FC's.
Sure, it's not concerning them at the moment, given that they do have the lead. It's a good turn by Barbarouses, and Berisha desperately trying to keep his balance. He's done really well. They could be in here. Victory, they are! It's 1-1! Costa Barbarouses! 3 goals in 3 games. He is on fire at the moment. And a beautiful combination between Melbourne Victory's killer bees, Barbarouses and Berisha. And it's all square again.
Well, this is a hell of a finish from Costa Barbarouses. Look at the balance of Berisha to start with. Well, Barbarouses too to regain his feet. Berisha holds his own. It's perfect touch. Off balance to make that pass perfectly into the stride of Barbarouses. That's tremendous athleticism. So is this. To regain your feet and your balance and put that inch-perfect pass on, and that finish speaks for itself. That is sumptuous from Costa Barbarouses. Look at this from Berisha. Only the very best from that position of instability can put on a pass like that. And Barbarouses threaded the needle magnificently.
Terrific goal from a player who is in terrific form right at this moment. And we're back at 1-1. Of course, he wasn't booked for the concession of that early penalty. Didn't escape second time around, did he? Kalfala. Growing into the game, as our Victory as a team. Milligan. Well read by Gersbach. Flag up again, in any case, against Barbarouses.
Just couldn't get enough on that Alex Brosk. Galloway was doing enough to make Brosk Russ the option, which ended up in that toe poke.
Turn around the corner from Berisha. Oh, Berisha, delightful ball. Barbarouses again. More problems here for Sydney. And now they trail 2-1. Guy Finkler scores. With 5 minutes to go before the break, they've turned it around, Kevin Muscat's team. Razor-sharp attack, Berisha involved again, and this time it's Finkler with the finish. 2-1 Victory.
Well, this is clinical with a capital C. The talking point about Sydney's centre of defence, given the absentees, and they were ripped asunder completely and utterly. Barbarouses has them all on tenterhooks because his form is so good, and the reverse pass to Guy Finkler was something else again. Look at the combination here, and when it's not on for me, I'll give it to the Brazilian, and the finish is a sure one. Big smiles from Super Guy, and the Victory are 2-1 up. What a goal.
4th goal of the season for Guy Finkler.
The problem that Sydney, well, one of the issues Sydney FC have to address in trying to counter Melbourne Victory is keeping the ball better. I mean, instead of having to chase the front three of Victory when they're in full flight, make sure the Victory don't get the ball to start with. And with Tavares and Dimitrijevic in particular, they certainly have that capacity to be way more stingy in defence. That'll be a free.
Ansell way too close and way too physical on Alex Brosk. So, with 1 minute of stoppage time remaining in the first half, set-piece opportunity for Sydney FC. It would be a whole brighter outlook for Graham Arnold if they could get back into the sheds on level terms. Dimitrijevic, perhaps to swing it in towards that far post. That is the tactic, and Nathan Coe came and got a piece of it. Goes back saying, give me an option. Eventually Naumov does just that. Dribbles away off his shin behind, and that'll do. What a first half. Sydney FC, so impressive in the early stages. They took the lead through a Mark Yanko penalty, their first home goal in 311 minutes, but then pegged back by Costa Barbarouses after excellent play involving Bessar Berisha, and Berisha involved in what is, at the moment, the match-winning goal scored by Guy Finkler just 5 minutes before the break. Sydney FC have never lost 4 consecutive home games at this venue, but they're staring at that statistic squarely in the face at half-time here, as Kevin Muscat continues the conversation with Steve Lucas, the fourth official, at the break. In the Big Blue, it's Sydney FC 1, Melbourne Victory 2 at half-time. Christopher Naumov won that early penalty, but somewhat faded from the game, as did Sydney FC. And this, Andy Harper, is a big 45 minutes for Graham Arnold's team, because lose this, they're 10 points behind Victory, and the Premiership is effectively gone.
Yeah, still a lot of games to go, but it wouldn't be a great look for Sydney FC, not with the way they've tried to set their season up. Brosk decided, understandably, to take the option when it was first there, and Bernie Abini just couldn't get the other side of Galloway, who stuck to his tasks brilliantly. And Sydney come again.
Calver's ball in deeper this time. Ross with the attempted hook back. Poor clearance by Guerrier. Dimitrijevic sells the dummy. Still Milos Dimitrijevic. And beaten away by Nathan Coe. Delightful skill from the Serbian. He sold 2 of them a dummy there, I think. Nathan Coe equal to the effort. Quickly taken corner. Dimitrijevic again. Sydney pushing and probing. Fisted clear by Coe this time. Looked like a foul by Seb Ryle, not given. Oh, and down goes Ryle in the box. Penalty. Contentious, perhaps. Guy Finkler looks nonplussed. And there's a bit of afters between he and Ryle, but Stredray Delovsky had no doubts. And Sydney FC have their second penalty kick of the game and a chance to get even.
Well, this is going to be very interesting. Bernie Abini releases. It's the give and go.
Oh,
seriously?
No.
What?
No.
Seriously?
Dear, oh dear.
What on earth can that be for?
Dear, oh dear.
Now, it is going to... That's an amazing call. And of course, Seb Ryle then gave Guy Finkler a pat on the head as he walked past, which has inflamed things. You could watch that 1,000 times and still not come up with a reason why that was a penalty.
Well, Ryle's just fallen over, hasn't he? Tripped over his own feet at best.
It's amazing. Give and go. Guy Finkler. This, mate,
I don't think he's even within a cooey of him, is he?
No.
Well, that's a strange one.
It's a howler.
And potentially a costly one. for Melbourne victory.
Well, you've got to call it for what it is, Simon. It's a howler.
What about this? Sydney FC, they were awarded 2 penalties last week. Scored first by Janko, secondly by Dimitrijevic, and 2 this week. First goal scorer Janko, of course, is off the pitch, so Shane Smeltz will get the chance to draw Sydney FC level from 11 metres in front of the Cove, and he's normally pretty reliable.
Calfala's talked his way into the book, which is needless. He'll stay out of it. People watching can appreciate the frustration, but it doesn't serve anyone.
It's Shane Smeltz against Nathan Coe, and Smeltz doesn't miss, and it's 2-2. And for Shane Smeltz, there is just something about playing the victory he likes very much. 14 goals in 19 now against the Navy Blues, but Melbourne victory will feel oh so hard done by the award of that spot kick.
Well, this will be... Guy Finkler hasn't reached out with his arm. It's honestly... front angle, reverse angle, slow-mo, spider cam, any way you want to look at that, it's no penalty. But it's certainly taken well from the spot by Shane Smeltz. And the Cove will take what they're given. Well, as the pendulum swings back to the centre, who reacts best mentally, Simon? Does Sydney FC pick up the baton and run home with it after the gift? But a Melbourne victory regather themselves. An impressive display by them so far.
Now it's Tavares who's been pinged. This could have rocked quite easily. Now Calfalo, a bit of a miskick from Ryle, who of course is right in the middle of things. As we saw on the replay, it appears as though Ryle has actually kicked the back leg of Guy Finkler. Well, hence the stumble. But foul, no chance.
Well, let's just put a bit of petrol on this as well. Once his attack's finished.
The beating. He has Calver outside right, goes left instead for Smeltz. Smeltz does know where Calver is and tries to find him. Galloway read it. Calfala.
So it's an either-or situation as far as Seb Ryle's concerned. He either seriously believes he's been impeded when he goes down because of the way he looks at the referee for a decision, or it's simulation, pure and utterly.
Let's just confirm that Fahid Ben Calfala did pick up a yellow card earlier for dissent. I think that's probably understandable given the circumstances. I think Arnold might have been shown a bit of dissent had that spot kick been awarded against my team. It's
understandable, but it's not acceptable because he might put himself in a hole now. I mean, that's where your professionalism got to override your emotion. Just a staggering decision, that one. Anyway, we get the player sign, we'll recover.
I think we'll be all right. Don't these big blues provide some talking points?
Always something. Of course, the bench has to set the example as well.
John Paul de Marini, the assistant of Melbourne victory, along with head coach Kevin Muscat, are just about at boiling point.
He's seen the red mist. JP's seen the red mist.
Well, he's a Sydney boy, isn't he, as well, by birth, so he'll perhaps feel it more than most.
Well, Mauritian by
he's
birth.
Involved. Well, yeah, but you take my point.
I do take your point. I know him well.
Here's Leia. That's going to be a corner for victory. Can they come again?
Well, they've stabilised. It's been an emotional blow for them. A test of their championship mentality as much as their football ability, which I don't think is in question at the moment.
Calfala's corner whipped in with pace, met by Brosk. Galloway finds the gap somehow and delivers too deep, but Berisha will reel it in. Recycle it through Barbarouses. His cross is not the best, neither is the clearance. It's a real shank off Aaron Calver. Another corner for victory. A game that has really ebbed and flowed. Finkler to deliver the outswinger for the victory. Oh, what a goal! Bullet header! Victory lead again through Nick Ansell. Wow, that went like a rocket off his forehead. 3-2. High drama again in the big blue. And they will feel justice is done.
Well, can't the victory score a specky at that end of the field? And Ansell, no protection, bursts through. Defence asleep. Not tracking, and he's a decent-sized athlete, Nick Ansell, and he put all his weight behind that one. He met it perfectly.
Kevin Muscat's kicking, or in this case, heading every single ball for his team. Well, that was just unstoppable from Nick Ansell, who gets his first A-League goal in 32 games. Discussion still continuing, temper still boiling. Archie Thompson about to arrive.
It's the big blue, Simon.
Who's writing these scripts?
Look at this at centre field now. There's a, well, it's well short of a melee, but let's say there's a committee meeting.
Yeah. And guess who's front and centre? All we need is Pascal Boscart to run on from somewhere. Bessart Barisha has been led away from the scene of the crime. The chance from the Sydney crowd for Strebre Dolowski to send him off. He's made do with a yellow card. I'll tell you what, Andy, you could sense that coming from Barisha about 50 minutes ago. And Adrian Leyer again is just saying focus, focus.
Well, there's certainly Cal Fuller and now Bessart Barisha. They're two yellow cards that you don't have to pick up. I mean, everyone knows the emotion of it, but it can hurt them down the track.
Lower leagues of Greece, and before that he was in England with Bristol City. Australian under-21 international. He's an Australian full international. Archie Thompson stealing a march in behind the Sydney defence. He's come to naught for victory. Dimitrijevic. Stamboltsev predominantly left-footed. He's starting on the left flank in attack for Sydney. They work it instead down the right. Back here for Calver. Antonis, just over 5 minutes left. Calver's ball in. Smeltz attacks it. Smeltz scores! Shane Smeltz again! Oh my goodness! He'd like to play Melbourne victory every week. And as we were in Melbourne earlier on in the season, we're back at 3-3 again. Incredible.
Well, for all the travails, Sydney FC had a goal in them from this situation. But the header is looped. And I'm not quite sure what Melbourne victory might have expected from Nathan Coe here. His footwork didn't look great. The ball was in the air forever. It's a decent cross. I don't even know if Shane Smeltz has headed that the way he wanted to. Maybe that's what's confused Nathan Coe. Or maybe it's just brilliant execution. Certainly the cross was good. And certainly Sydney FC have had a series of such situations. And finally, the Kiwi, the World Cup goal scorer, Shane Smeltz, gets them level.
Staggering.
Janjetovic could have scored if he had a look up. Nathan Coe was a mile out of his goal. They still might. Here they come again, Sydney.
Confirmation of the yellow for Scott Galloway. Is there a winner in this for one of these teams? Stamboltsev with the cross. It's met by Ansell. And now Archie Thompson has the chance to break for the victory. Bessart Barisha looking a little bit heavy-legged. One in the air by German. The follow-up, though, might find its way through from the boots. And there are 60 seconds left of play. A nudge in the back of Bros by Leyer. Quickly taken by Sydney. They feel they can win it. Stamboltsev. Can he get around Geria? Opts for the corner.
Wow, it is all hands to the pump. And it's not just Victoria having to defend, because Sydney can get hit on the counter, or could have in the last couple of minutes as well.
Well, this is the Hyundai A-League at its very best. Goals, drama, arguments. Not as yet a winner. Dimitrijevic straight into the hands of Ko, who then spilled it.
It would be just that type of night.
And we're almost out of time. Is there one final chance? It's going to be beyond Archie Thompson. Kevin Muscat still continuing the conversation. Is that towards Graham Arnold? I think it is. I'm not sure there'll be a handshake. What a night. What a game. That was breathtaking. And Shane Smeltz is the Sydney FC hero, at least one of them. Besart Berisha will continue the conversation. Melbourne Victory quite right to protest about the award of a penalty, which was never in a million years. Graham Arnold and Kevin Muscat, not perhaps the best of friends just yet. They will be later, I'm sure. 6 goals shared between these two arch-rivals for the second time this season. And yet again, they can't be separated. Shane Smeltz with 2 off the bench. And for the 4th time in a row, and for the 17th time all told, it ends all square in the big blue. Victory are back on top of the table, at least for the moment. Whether they'll still be there at the weekend's end will, of course, depend upon events in Adelaide tomorrow. Meantime, let's all take a breath. What a night. Sydney FC 3, Melbourne Victory 3.